Thanks, Dave.
I'm not bad, Adam. I'm not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. How was the Christmas, New Year period for you?
Oh, just fabulous.
Yeah. So, actually, before we go into that, I was
Yeah.
thinking about you when I was eating my Christmas dinner.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, because I knew you wouldn't be able to eat anything because of your tongue. How is the tongue? It looked horrible.
Things all right now. Christmas Day and that. Very sadly, I spent it alone. I'm not a Christmas fan, I'm not a box. I'm a Boxing Day fan. The King George is on. Christmas is just another day to me. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, I'm not big on it. I'm not huge on it.
New Year's it's all a load of crap, Adam. If I'm gonna be not swear, so I'm trying not to swear this year. So it's all a load of crap.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Nice way to start. Let's talk about Luis Ortiz. A valiant performance.
Valiant, yeah.
You look really good in parts of it, to be fair.
To be honest, Adam, I'll tell you the truth because it's you. Basically, the man's very good, but I took the fight. I trained for what did I train? 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks I trained altogether. Not even correctly, I couldn't get to the gym. I don't drive. Do you know what I mean? I'm 25 years old and I don't drive.
Oh, okay.
Pretty pathetic, really. But it was a case of I was getting to the gym as and when I could get to the gym. I live pretty much out of the way, and I gambled on Dillian White money away. So it was a case of getting to the gym. This sounds pathetic, doesn't it? I'm fighting the one in the world, and I'm getting to the gym as and when I can get a lift to the gym. So. I took the fight, I did what I could do. I tried my best, I showed some ability this time, which is nice. I boxed a little bit. I was way too out of shape and didn't prepare correctly, and I think you can get one in the world and do that, I wasn't taking the sport seriously, really, was I? And, I got found out 1 second left in round 7, and I got stopped, where probably was the right decision. I could have carried on, but, I got stopped. But it's worked out all right, and good things have come off the back of it.
Yeah, okay. There was some talk about you were getting paid very little for the. It was all over Twitter. Everyone was talking about it. How much did you get paid?
Well, it depends. A lot of those figures floating around of £100,000 and plus, which is absurd. You know what I mean? Even White is already looking to be clearing £100,000. Never mind myself as the away fighter and around her. So it was a lot less than. It was considerably less than the 100,000. I probably took home 10 for that.
Okay.
Thereabouts.
All right.
So, but for me, it's a lot of money. And luckily this time, I've not gambled it away. I'm putting it towards getting ready for these big opportunities. That have been afforded to me thanks to performance against Ortiz. The Ortiz fight wasn't about the money. People thought, he's fighting Ortiz for the money. It wasn't about that. I did truly believe, even though I didn't prepare at all, really, which is down to my ignorance and arrogance, maybe. I thought I could beat him anyway, But yeah, it's afforded me some good opportunities coming up, So yeah, it wasn't about the money; it was about the opportunity, and that's come off. So it was a gamble that's paid off.
Yeah, well, I was watching the fight. It was my girlfriend's birthday, so we had a few people round. We were watching it, and you were really impressive in round 4 as well. And I think in round 2 or 3, I can't quite remember. I haven't watched it for a while, but I think you hurt him a little bit at one point. So, while the fight was going on, what were you thinking? You were having some success.
Well, the first round, he didn't really lay a glove on me in the first round. I just moved, the boxing moved, and I went back to the corner and I said to Mick, Mick, he's fuck all, Luis Ortiz. I've just swore there, but anyway, I said he's fuck all. And Mick went, you need to chill out because you got another 7 rounds left. And I thought, yeah, that's a good point. So, round 2, I was moving for about 30 seconds, and then my legs just packed in on me, so I was weighing 18 stone 6. I'm severely overweight, and my legs slowed down. And then, I kind of got through the next couple of rounds, just riding shots and stuff, but yeah, with an uppercut in the second round, which would have knocked out a few small animals, I believe. So, I proved my chin again, and I got all the way through to a second after round 7 by using boxing ability and a bit of toughness, obviously, but You know, I'm very good defensively anyway, but
Well,
I was really disappointed that I got beat. I was really disappointed. You know, people say, "Oh, you did well, you did this and that," but you know, I lost. That was 2 losses in a row, and that hurts. I've not won a fight since March. I'm not fucking Jason Gavin.
yeah.
So it's disappointing stuff, but like I say, you know, it's all about moving forward, and that's what's happening.
Well, so I was thinking about this earlier, like, in other interviews we did, you've called out everyone, like David
Yeah.
Price, Shannon Brett, any sort of name, even Anthony Joshua, you were calling him out
Yeah.
at one point.
Yeah.
And I think you'd had like 6 fights or something.
Well, you got plenty of fucking. You got to do it. You got to talk about getting yourself out there. And finally, you know, on the back of White and Ortiz, I've got what I needed to get, and that's an opportunity to match them now. You know, to work with them moving forward. That's all I wanted. I wanted it from the White fight. Didn't happen. Took the Ortiz fight, and now it has happened. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, another thing I was thinking about, you sort of had this thirst to fight, you know, the best fighters out there. Now you've done that and sort of worked out where you are in terms of development in your career. Have you kind of quenched that thirst, if you know what I mean? And
Well, in terms of ability, you know, White and Ortiz beat me. They both beat me very comfortably. You know, both times I was very unfit, but that, you know, that's not excuses because that comes down to professionalism. But I know, like, if Luis Ortiz is one of the best athletes in the world, then in 18 months' time with proper training, you know, keep improving, I'll be knocking on that door as well. You know, the ability is there. The ability has always been there. My physical, athletic ability, that's always been there. It's been what's going on upstairs that's let me down a little bit. I've been unprofessional. You know, I've had certain problems as well, but you know, I've turned the corner now, and you know, I'm going to do it properly now. So I need certain fights now. I need a few wins. We're going to get a few wins under my belt. We're going to up the competition slowly, and then we're going to jump straight back into another good fight. You know, but it'll be when I'm ready for it. It won't be jumping in. I'll be stepping in, and then I'll be stepping back out as a winner. And there's no more silly fights going to be happening now.
Yeah. Okay. This is all great to hear. Going back to something you said earlier, you were talking about you gambled all your Dillian White money away, and then you said you haven't gambled your Luis Ortiz money away. You're investing that back in yourself. Is that the right idea I'm getting? So you're ready for this next fight in Hull on the McDonough undercard. Is that kind of where you are? Are you sort of like not really gambling as much anymore and sort of?
Well, what's happening is, you know, the money from the Ortiz fight, I gambled all the White fights, so I don't know how much detail it's going into, but, you know, obviously the Mr. Taxman's going to be coming around sometime in April. All that's been sorted out, all that, you know, I ain't got a clue, you know, my sister, I'm very lucky, my sister's an intelligent woman and she looks after me, but...
Oh, cool, that's good.
The rest of the money, you know, I'm able to train full time now, and that's what I'm doing. I'm training full time. I'm training twice a day. My dad's on board, and my dad's a taskmaster. You know, my dad boxed internationally as an amateur. He boxed 30 professional fights. He boxed all the best. He's training with all the best trainers. You know, everything's going well. I've got a strength and conditioning coach. Can you believe it? A nutritionist. Can you believe it? A woman that gives me a massage, a professional massage that is.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all going. Things are all good, and as you can tell in my voice, I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, you sound buzzing.
Matchroom got me an opportunity on the undercard of Gavin McDonald looking to become a world champion, which would be great, you know, for Doncaster. Doncaster boxing's booming, so, you know, it's all good. I'm very excited, and things are going really well.
Yeah, well, so what sort of opponent can we expect in this? Is this going to be a kind of, you know, just get back to winning ways fight?
Well, you know, my manager said to me, who do you want to box? Who do you want to box? February 25th. And I looked at him and I said, I don't want to go back to boxing these Hungarians. I said, ideally, I don't want to box one of them because I don't know what you can learn from them. I know I need to get a win. I know I need to get back in there. But I said, what about someone like Tom Dallas? I said,
yeah, that'd be that's a good one. Yeah,
Tom Dallas is fighting Tom Little, you know. So I'm going to fight in Hull. I'm going to box whoever they put in front of me. You know, I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a foreigner or an English guy. I don't have a clue. I'm not really that bothered, to be honest. And then, you know, all goes well. You know, there's a crawler undercard afterwards, the possibility, I'm told, to perform well in Hull. So, you know, the incentive's there to perform.
Yeah.
So the work's getting put in. I'm putting the correct stuff in my mouth. I'm doing all the things correct. So I'm very excited of him. I'm very excited.
Yeah, you sound it, mate. Well, it's good to
I
hear.
am, mate.
And you know, even though, you know, it's a bit stupid only training 2.5 weeks for the fighting Luis Ortiz because he's like a world level operator. But you know, you fought people, you know, well out of your league, and you kind of deserve, you know, what you're getting now. So you know, like this, even though you might be fighting a bit of a so-called dustbin man, you know, are you looking to stay more active because you need to keep getting paid?
Yeah, you know, the thing with the pay is, you know, obviously, in Hull, I'm going to be selling tickets for the whole fight. You can't sell bags of tickets once a month, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Matchroom perform in Hull, and you know they get me out again, and they help me build towards a British title, you know. But like I say, the money from the Ortiz fight, what I got, I'm willing to put that back in, you know, and pay for an opponent with that kind of thing. So that's our manager, you know. We just want to. I feel like boxing be busy, you know, a busy fighter. My dad said to me, he needs to be as busy as possible to box as much as possible, you know. An active fighter is a dangerous fighter, so that's what we're. That's what we're looking to do, be as busy as possible, rack up some wins, and I'll be British champion in 2017. That's 100%, you know. There's some good fighters about in Britain now, good heavyweights, really good heavyweights, but none of them that I think, you know, below the top 4 or 5 that are world level that I can't beat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you just need to stay active and used to, because, you know, even people like Peter Fury, and you've trained with all the best fighters in the world, like they all can't be wrong. And I've seen you fight, and I've always thought if you've been fluid for patches in your fights, and as a heavyweight, there's not a lot of heavyweights like that. So, you know, you've got something the rest of the division hasn't. I think that's, you know, that's why what drew me to you first of all. What are you trying to get back to that? Trying to become a bit more of a boxer again?
Yeah, you know what I mean? I am a boxer, you know. The white people have always seen me in the Gavin fight, which I have to make the fight. I have to go forward and rough him up and whatever, because he's an old man, and he's quick when you put it on him. So that was the tactic there. The white fight, I just can't do I don't know who was the occasion or whatever, something. I just kind of got into I had it in my mind I was going to wear him down, you know, just do my thing, walking down. The Ortiz fight kind of showed more what I'm about, but I wasn't in the correct shape to do that. So, you know, I am a boxer. That's what I do. I box on the back foot. You know, people got me down as a tough, strong kid, but I'm a boxer first and foremost, and I'm back working with my dad now, and that's what we're doing. We're getting back to doing what I did as an amateur when I trained with him. You know, we went 8 fights, we won a national title, and I was knocking everyone over left, right, and centre boxing.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking to get back to.
So your dad, pretty much, you saying he was your amateur coach pretty much your whole amateur career, basically. Would you have 10 amateur fights?
I had amateur fights. The first day I trained with him. The last 2 I didn't train at all. I met a woman, and I didn't train for my last 2 amateur fights, and so it's been downhill from that point, really. That's when I got lazy. When my mum and dad split up, you know, I moved house, I moved away with my mum, and you know, me and my dad don't get along very well, as you know, but you know, we're putting things to one side and getting along with the training, because I believe that's what's the best for my boxing. And you know, like, I'm only 24, but you know, there's got to come a point where you got to say, how many more chances am I going to get?
Yeah, it's good to hear you talking this way. So how, with your dad coming on board, how did that happen? If you don't mind me asking, you say, because you said you haven't trained with him for such a long time. How did this happen? It's a bit out of the blue.
Well, we train. We always do a little bit of training now and again. We train. We don't sleep for 3 months. You know, in the past we've done stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
We tried training before, but you know, we fall out and whatever else. But this time, you know, I want it as bad as he wants it. He's always wanted to do it correctly, but I've always just, you know, kind of gone elsewhere if it's a little bit easier, you know. But this time, you know, I train with Mick Mars on 1 day a week, you know, and we kind of do the thing that my dad does, you know. But it's very much drill orientated, you know. We do things till I'm sick to the back teeth for doing them, you know. It's all the same stuff. Yeah. and I have to do it, so I do it correctly. And until it's done correctly, we don't stop. And it's hard work. Well, that's probably what I need, because I'm a lazy so-and-so. So yeah, that is probably what I need.
Yeah. Okay. So I was going to come on to about Mick. He's your manager as well, isn't he?
Yeah, Mick's my manager. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you were training with Steffi Bull, and then you moved to Mick, but he could only sort of do well. You couldn't get to the gym, and he lives quite far away, so it's not really logistically. It doesn't really work for you. I'm assuming, but from how much better your boxing looked in the Ortiz fight compared to the Dillian White fight, putting two and two together, he must have played quite a big role in that, because you say does the pads with you.
Well, not really. Well, what happened in the Ortiz fight is, I spoke to Mick, and Mick said, "Go out there. There's no pressure whatsoever. Go out there and box. Just do your thing, enjoy it." And that's what I did. I went out there and I boxed. I enjoyed it, and if only my legs would have allowed me to do what I can do. The first round, if you watch the first round, I was very comfortable. It was very easy, and I'm making a world-class man miss, with ease. And and I slowed down, and then Ortiz showed his class. Ortiz is very slow, but there's heavyweights out there that I believe will beat him, because his feet are a little bit slow, but he's a great fighter, and he beat me. If I was 100% fit, I don't think I'd have beat him. I was too inexperienced. The White fight, I was way too inexperienced. The Ortiz fight, inexperienced again. But when I come back down to domestic level after these few little warm-up fights and experience building fights, the experience I've gained from these fights have put me in good stead.
Okay, all right, mate. Well, okay. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, you've been kind of exclusively fighting on their shows. They've given you another chance, despite you only training for 2.5 weeks before the Lewis Ortiz fight. They must really like you, because you've been quite open and you were quite out of shape, as you said, but you still managed to put in a very good performance. So what's going on there? How's that relationship?
Yeah, I don't know really. Obviously, the first fight I watched the Frenchman. You were there that night. I weren't great. I won a lot closer than the referee. I did. Anyway, the Gavin fight, I was shocking again. The White fight, I wasn't great there. The Ortiz fight, I was all right for a couple of rounds. But I think Eddie, I've got a good fan base. I've got a lot of support now.
Yeah.
It's pretty popular, I think. On the domestic scene at least. The ability, I believe, is there for all to see. Everyone in boxing, believes I can achieve big things, and Eddie will hear that. Eddie can see it, So I'm fighting in Hull. All being well, I perform well in Hull, I believe there may be a chance that I'll be out again a month later in Manchester. So you're giving me a chance. I'm very grateful for the chance. It's a big opportunity, Matchroom on Sky. I'm only a few fights away from a British title fight. If you're a British heavyweight champion, you're right up there in line for some really big fights.
Yeah, I think when we first started talking, doing these interviews, that's what you're talking about, the British title. I think if you look at how Eddie has managed Dillian White's career since he lost to Joshua, I think he's done a very good job. Sort of winning him the British title, keeping him very, very busy, and he's now got himself in line for a WBC title shot after maybe one more fight. So in terms of, and you look at what he's done with Ricky Burns as well. He's now got him.
Like mentioned with Dillian, what they've done the last
amazing. Eddie Hearn.
6 to 9 months is great. What Eddie's done and what Dylan's done himself. He's gone away, he got seriously fit, done everything correctly, and he's reaping the rewards now. And Eddie's done a great job. Beating me, Lewis, and Cesaro in the space of 6 months. It's really good going, and he's picked the British title up doing so, got himself a world rating. I think what he's done is brilliant, and that gives me hope that if I can have a good 12, 18 months, I'll be in the similar position that he's in now.
Yeah. To be fair to him, this will be. I hate to go on about Eddie Hearn, but if you look at, I think he gets a bit undervalued in the fact that he does almost kind of make fighters better after big defeats. So you look at Cleverly, look at Froch, list goes on. So that sounds like that's where you want to be. That's where you want to continue working with. It sounds like a good relationship you have there.
Yeah, hopefully it all comes down to me and how I perform. If I don't perform, it doesn't matter if they think I'm a good personality for boxing or we get along or whatever. If I don't perform and I don't win and perform, obviously the door will be closed. So it's as simple as that, really.
Yeah. Okay. Well, talking about your team, so you've got your dad on board, who's sort of like head coach, pretty much, and then you've got Mick doing a bit of work, and then did you say you got sort of like a fitness guy, or is your dad doing that as well?
Well, the team I've got my dad doing me boxing 3 days a week.
Yeah.
I've got Mick 1 day a week. 4 days of boxing. I'd like to do more, but like I said, logistically, getting to Leeds, my dad getting over to me or me getting to him, this is most we can do. Me and my dad are training in a garage, a shed. Well, that's what we do. Me and my dad used to take me when I first started boxing. We'd go for a 6-mile run. He found a flat piece of land. We'd go on there. We'd do the pads for an hour. And I'd run 6 mile home. We'd do that every day. That's what we do. And we train in the shed now. It doesn't matter where you're training. It's not the way you're training. It's the quality of the training you're doing. So, people might say it's weird. I think Kazagi trains in the shed with his dad.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I've been thinking about that ever since you said you're training with your dad. Thinking about India.
Everyone thinks he looks like a scene out of fucking Rocky and that. We're going to get some chicken, top garden, and then take the front garden off. But that's it. It's not even my shed. So, we're not, we're very simple fucking working class men and we don't have a lot, but, we love boxing and we want to make something out of it. So we're training in a shed. Got a strength conditioning coach, young kid, Luke Robinson. He's helping me out. I've been boxing for a long time now and I've been around the greatest minds in boxing, the Ingles. Been to Klitschko camps, trained with Peter Fury amongst a lot of rules. I've been through a lot of trainings and, people might say that's a bad thing, but for me that means I think I've learned off a lot of people. So I know how to get fit, I know what to eat, but having these people there, these experts in food and in diet and in training and strength conditioning and whatever, it can only help. So I've got all these people around me helping now, and it's good. I've got every base covered, I think, and I'm looking in better shape. I'm feeling fitter, and but the proof will be in the pudding on the 25th of February in Hull. It doesn't come overnight. Fitness and improving everything doesn't happen overnight. It takes a sustained period of time of doing it. So, the end results won't be seen in Hull or even a month later. But yeah, we're well on his way.
Yeah, well, it sounds good, mate. So it sounds like you've got it the way you kind of like it as well, and I think you've been sort of living away from home and stuff. And I think naturally, like as someone who's 5 years older than you. You just naturally mature, and you start, you see the value of things. I think that's every fighter I've spoken to, every person I've spoken to, that's sort of like the way it goes. So it sounds like you're taking quite a normal, evolution. You're talking about your fan base. Well, do you remember when we first started doing interviews and you would jokingly say to the tens and tens of fans, thanks for supporting me. Your fan base is huge now. What's that like? You get. I look on your Twitter now and again, and there's a lot of love on there.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I can remember I started this Twitter. I had a few hundred followers for the Gavin fight, about 600 or something, 700. Now I've got 12,000, and it's just come from. I don't know where it's come from really, because it's just
calling
me
people out, probably.
It's just me being my normal weird self, I do write some weird things, and sometimes I forget that, family do read it, and talking about brothels and whatever else is probably not the best thing to do, but that's just me. So yeah, people just seem to appreciate, just seem to like me, I guess. Obviously I'm not showing great performance in the ring, so obviously just people have kind of took a shine to me, and Twitter's great. There's for every dickhead there's hundreds of sound people on there that, I do enjoy talking to. I spend a lot of time on there. I don't get out a lot out of the house. But, Twitter's a bit of a place for me to go and talk to people. So, yeah, it's great.
Oh, that's very good. And in terms of let's talk about what going forward then. You say you want to get out quite quickly. There's some massive cards at the moment in the UK with things like Hay, Bellew, Crolla, Linares, and obviously Joshua and Klitschko. And you look at, and there's a possibility Khan and Kell Brook are going to fight. This could be at Wembley or Old Trafford or something like that. If you can get 3 or 4 wins together. Like, I'm looking at who's going to be in line for the British title. Like, I imagine Dillian White's going to vacate that pretty soon. Who do you know who's kind of trying to get towards that British title when Dillian White? Who do you think the race will be against in the UK heavyweights?
Well, I think there's a lot of heavyweights like circling about like 7, 8, 9, that have just been knocking over Hungarians like Nick Webb and a few others. And you got Akinlard and Gorman going to fight the English title in April. They're 2 really good fights. That's a brilliant fight, I think.
Yeah.
And then I think a little bit above them, I think the wins over Gavin and Orieng, they're better than what anyone else has done outside the top 7.
Yeah, I'd agree.
They're not great wins, but they're a lot better than anyone else has got. Obviously, I've lost to White and Ortiz. Ortiz fight performance was alright, but I've boxed world-class men, so I see myself, Lewis, Sexton,
like it.
I feel us three are like at the top of all the fighters that aren't near in world class. Because Chisora, White, they're in and around world class now. Yeah. Chisora's been there for years. You've got Hay, Joshua, Fury. They're on a different level. Price, I don't know if he's on a different level, but he sees himself on one.
Yeah.
So I think me, Lewis and Sexton, we're like the top real domestic level, I think.
Yeah.
And then you got Gary Cornish, who's in and around. I like Gary Cornish, and he's a big, strong man. He's a decent fighter, but he hasn't beat anybody. But he's in and around there, and I think he can get some decent wins. I'd love to box Sexton, Lewison. They're the fighters that could become British champion. So, Cornish. I like Gary, but I prefer to box Sexton or Lewison.
Yeah.
But Gorman and Akinlard, the winner of that's going to be bang bang. Nathan's only 20, but trust me, he's brilliant. Yeah, Akinlard, I really like the fighter, and you got Nick Webb and a few others that are coming up. No, they could be anything. I'm saying they're not beating anybody, but that doesn't mean that they can't go on to do big things. Yeah. Obviously, they've gone through all the tests that they've been asked to. So it's really interesting, as a fan. But for me, it's really interesting seeing these names and that. But anyone outside the top 5 or 6 in Britain, I believe I beat.
Yeah. Was there some talk about you possibly fighting for the Commonwealth heavyweight title against the Canadian?
Yeah, I got offered to go to Canada and box for the Commonwealth. It was going to be January, February time, but it wasn't a definite. I took the Ortiz fight, which that was a definite. It was in Manchester. I didn't have to get on a plane. And if I beat Ortiz, I was going to be like an overnight 15-minute sensation, get a decent fight off it, and whatever else. So I took that.
So David Price, someone you've talked about a lot, among other. But David Price, you've been keen on him. He's fighting Christian Hamer on the Eubank Junior undercard. What do you make of that fight for David?
I think it's a good fight. It's a decent opponent. It's probably the easiest opponent.
It's good matchmaking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant matchmaking, but I still believe that he might come up short, but the time is not bad at all. But David Price, he's a big man and he can punch. David Price can beat everybody, but at the same time, like, let's say anyone any good can beat him as well.
Yeah. So
his confidence is shot to bits, and he can't take a punch. But at the same time, if he's going to put your lights out, so it's a difficult one.
Yeah. Wasn't there an offer made to you to fight David Price?
Yeah, and I accepted it. Then they said that they didn't know anything about it, and then they came back to me with a week left saying you can have it now, and I said I'm all right. So.
Oh really?
I don't know. I think David Price sees himself as another level to the likes of myself. So I don't see it happening anytime soon. So I kind of stopped. There's never any. I don't mean it in a malicious way. And I give some stick out, but I'll leave David Price alone now. So I believe the thing to beat Hayden and maybe get into a park fight. So I'll leave him to it.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, that's very, very noble of you. What do you make of Joshua Klitschko? What do you think's going to happen there?
I think Klitschko might knock Joshua out. I think he might have come this too.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that.
I think he's come through soon. Yeah, I think Klitschko a bit left. And if he's anything like he was, pre-Jennings, he'll knock Joshua out.
Yeah, you think he's going to knock him out? Yeah.
I think he'll knock him spark out.
Spark out.
I'm pulling for a Joshua win because I think it's better for the division. And yeah, it was better for the division if Joshua wins, but I don't believe he will.
Yeah, of course I'm getting behind Joshua. Do you think Bellew's got any chance against David Haye whatsoever? You've sparred Tony Bellew before. Yeah,
Tony Bellew, when I sparred him, was brilliant. He had a great job. He was very fast, but I think David Haye's another level. I think Tony Bellew was world champion. He was world class, but I think David Haye, if he's anything like he was, is a level above world level. He's at that real elite level. So I think Haye should go for him pretty easily. I think not easily, because you don't go for a fight like Tony Bellew easily, but he should win. We've seen Bellew on the floor against light heavyweights and whatever else, and if one thing Haye can do is punch. So good luck to them both. I like both of them, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, finally, Dave, I'll get your thought on one more thing, which is very important to the heavyweight division. News that was exclusively broke on 4C Sports Media when we had Peter Fury on. The champ is coming back, apparently. Apparently he's training. What do you make of that, Tyson Fury's return?
Yeah, hopefully he comes back, because I believe, when he left the sport, when he beat Klitschko, obviously that was the last time we fought, he's the best heavyweight on the planet by a mile.
Yeah.
Hopefully he comes back around, he comes back the same fighter that he was, and he takes over the division again, and it's right for the number one man. So I believe that's what he is. Hopefully 2017 we see Wilder Fury, Wilder Joshua Fury. They're the fights we want to see, and hopefully, they're going to happen this year. I wouldn't hold my breath, but fingers crossed.
Yeah, okay, mate. Well, brilliant. And I think that's about it, mate. Thanks so much for coming on. Been, as usual, really good chat. No hold barred discussion, as usual, from you, Dave. I suppose you're just training now. How's the tongue? Are you because they said it would take a good 2 or 3 months to heal. Is it okay?
It's all right. It's a little bit painful. I can't spar probably till early February. If the opponent's pretty shit, I won't spar at all till after that.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think that's wise anyway. You've done a lot of sparring, mate, so yeah.
It depends on the opponent. If I feel like I've got a spar or I've got an itch that I like to scratch, I'll go and have a punch up in gym, but if not, probably save me tongue for another day.
Yeah. And what are you walking around about at the moment? How much you weigh?
17.8 today.
Yeah? That's a nice...
Yeah, there's been times where I've tried to get light and that, but
I don't think you should be too light, personally.
Because people see me on Twitter and they go, you should be a cruiserweight. It's like, well, come and see me in person. You'll see that I'm quite a big lump.
Yeah,
I don't realise that I'm nearing 6'4".
Your thighs like your thighs like a 32 waist on jeans. Your legs, they're tree trunks.
Yeah, I'm a big kid, so I'm open to settle somewhere around 17.2, 17.3.
That's it. Yeah, I think that's a nice.
My nutritionist, because I've got a nutritionist now, believes that the weight will come off on its own, whatever it comes out, it'll come down to. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we certainly.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Brilliant.